Before we move on to our next agenda of the day, we would like to remind you all that there is an interesting workshop which is coming up, which is all about the art of pitch. As startups, I'm sure you all understand how important it is to get the right pitch so that you're able to reach out to the right investor and of course the right audience as well. So tune in to the Art of Pitch, which is going to happen at 2 o'clock. Meanwhile, I take the pleasure of inviting on stage Mr. Siva Periasamy, founder and president, Numentica Technologies Private Limited. May I invite him to please join us on stage and kindly share his thought and perspectives on scaling and globalization. Please put your hands together and give a warm welcome.
My name is Siva Periasamy. I'm from Numentica Consulting Group, founder and president. We are based out of Los Angeles, California. Our company primarily servicing US-based corporate clients, and within that, we have specialized focused consulting practices. We have Numentica Data Services, Numentica AI Services, Numentica as a Microsoft-focused consulting service called Mahaya, and we have Salesforce consulting practice, and also we have a product engineering practice, and Numentica staff augmentation called New Talents. So we have a group of servicing companies under one umbrella called Numentica Consulting Group. And one important thing I want to talk about here is a New Starts, which is a unit which is exclusively focused on servicing startups. We help startups to build their products, launch and scale their product. We have been working with multiple startups, primarily US-based startups, to build their engineering teams in India and help them to scale. Personally, I come from an startup exit. We have built a company called IntentX, which is a content monetization platform for publishers. I was a co-founder of that company, and also been working with various other startups as part of New Starts. That's my experience, as well as founding and growing our own consulting group, Numentica Consulting Group. With that experience, I want to talk from my perspective of the scaling. Again, this is more from my perspective of my experience. And you can take it what relevant to yours. That is very important, because being a founder, an entrepreneur, you need to look at your context. Everything is very sensitive to the context, and that's what applies to you is what you can talk about it. So now coming to this specifically about scaling, my strong belief is before scaling, it is that you need to be nailing it first. Nail it and scale it, right? You would have heard that quite often. So almost all of that you are going to hear from me may not be totally new. It is what you might have heard it. You may emphasize again what you already heard. So what I always focused is to nail it first. After it's nailed, whether it's a product or a services company, I have experience of building both. So the first part is come to the nailing. So when that is done right, only then scaling makes sense. What I've seen is people struggling with problems at the time of scale, which should have been handled at the nailing phase. So if we miss that, it will definitely pop up at the time of you're trying to scale, where the time, effort, energy, money it takes to address the challenge at that time is 10x or even more. So that's why first you need to be clear about what is it. So now what is it nailing exactly means? So that could mean different thing based on your product and services offering. But generally what it means is that your product market fit is pretty much addressed within that particular segment you are servicing at that time. And your product or services, your ability to build and deliver that, you have taken charge of that. So these are the core aspects of nailing, where that is that, it's only a matter of then scaling. That's what you need to be ready for scale. It's my, again, you may be working with, as a founder, always suggest, to have a good advisory board. and who are know you very well, your context. And, and, and that's where, when you work with a great advisory board and they know your context better, they can give you more relevant information that is relevant to your startup, for your services company. So that is what you should go with. But here it is more generally, you may think that I'm ready for scale, but that is why you want to talk to your advisors. If you don't have a formal advisory board, your group of the friends, other founders, right? Basically, you need to listen to someone other than ourselves. As a founder, we literally give birth to that idea, to that company, right? So we are so attached to it, and we will not see other things that others can see it. And many of the people, the friends, others, just to be nice with you, they don't want to tell you, right? Whatever they think. But once you really serious and sincere about and ask for it, then you have a chance to hear from them. Because people don't want to offend others, right? They only want to say nice thing about it, right? And that is why, you really want to listen to your paying customer, right? When they're taking their wallet out and paying for it, that is the real litmus test, yes, there is a fit for it. But also, ask for, the others, if you don't have a formal advisory board, definitely, people that you're really connected with. This is a great ecosystem. I really want to thank the founders, putting together this. I am coming from California. That's where I live. Silicon Valley, the world's the best, the startup, capital. Why it is? Not because of just one individual, one person, one company. It is a whole ecosystem there. And I'm really excited to see, we have a very coordinated effort to build that kind of an ecosystem here in India. I'm really, really, proud and thankful to all of you here, right? The ecosystem consists of everybody here, and it has to grow and flourish. And that is when, we can see these the startups growing. Just about a month ago, 3 weeks ago, I had the chance to have a couple of hours of in-person meeting with Dr. Sridhar Vemu, who is the Zogo founder. He was there in Los Angeles. A small group of entrepreneurs had a chance to have a couple of hours of discussions. And he also insisted or talked about how their company grew, So when you look at it, they started actually small and serving certain specific, the needs. And then they are able to grow where they are. In that way, even though you may have a lot of ideas to really cater to various different things, you want to kind of look at the core and try to nail that one piece out and then make the business first out of that. Then, is what we want to scale to other use cases, other segments. So the nailing part, you don't have to nail every pieces of it. You just need to have one working, one use case, one segment of your, customers, or one problem of your, the array of problems that are going to solve, just nail it to that. And he also gave an example of, just a Honda. We know that, today they make jets, one of the largest automaker. When they started, they just started as a bicycle services company. They're putting a motor on a bicycle, right? That's their first product, just a motor on a bicycle. So, and they have to make that work, and make that as a viable business. They grew from there. So thinking about that, right? So this really for us, when we as a startup founders, we want to have the similar thinking today, right? Is to take that, a small problem or one use case, one segment, make it work, build a business out of it, and then, to scale it. So when it comes to the scaling, real scaling part of it, where, we go to the other markets, we scale, and what that problem you are solving, is that the same type of problem exists for other industries, To talk an example of ours, we built some OCR type of solutions for an education client. When we looked at it, yes, the use case is for an education client, but the technology and what are the technical things, it can be applicable to other clients, so of other segments, So the scaling works in terms of, you are expanding your core strength into other verticals, other market areas, and also in the same segment and a greater audience, So it depends on your strategies that you would apply, depends on that. For us, we started servicing US-based customers in the last, 2.5 years. We're in Middle East. we're really getting a lot of success in the data services part of our business. So again, we have already nailed that in the US market. The technology, the problem is similar. It's just a different market, right? We need to understand the culture and different aspect of it. But the problem that we're solving is technically, it's the same thing. That expertise we had, and we are able to really outperform very big companies on that specific segment of the problem. When in the services side, yes, we are not trying to be Infosys, TCS, Wipro. They're fantastic, great companies. We cannot be them. At the same time, they cannot be us also. And that's the area we focus on is, when we talk about nailing. And then scaling is, that's, in the services business. So this is just, few nuggets that I really want to share from my perspective of being a founder, both from services company as well as the product company and scaling, starting in US. We started initially on one segment, servicing e-commerce clients. Now we have 7 practice areas. Is that right? From Microsoft consulting practice called Mahaya, Salesforce consulting practice called Newforce. We have a product engineering practice called Numentica UI. We have a practice especially for serving startups. It is New Starts. And we have a technology staffing solution called New Talents, and data services and AI services. So again, we scaled by using the same model we used to build one services business. What it worked is, we are not trying to be everything for everybody. That I'm being very clear from the day one, or from my experience of building the first services unit. Because when we are trying to be everything for everybody, nobody wants to listen to us, right? And especially for a boutique consulting firm, you've got to have a certain expertise and focus on that, do that well. And that's exactly the model, not trying to do everything, and we are able to expand into specific expertise areas. And each one of these areas, we have the ability to really do much better than the bigger organizations. So that's my journey so far about scaling. Started just with one in one market, and now we are into 7 practice areas, and that's with that experience, I'm setting these basic aspects of it. I also want to say this to you, right? The fact that you're all here, suddenly everything, I'm just going beyond this subject, right? Is we have to have the drive and the reason to do that, right? The interest. Only then everything will fall in place. Unless I really have that, the vision and the drive to scale, and that is the first starting point. Then everything else, right? Then we are really on our mind works in a way that we are open to ideas. We open to accept that what I don't know as I don't know. Okay, so the fact that you're all here in this one, where we are open to receive other ideas, open to understand and acknowledge what we don't know as what we don't know. Otherwise, we get to the belief, as I said, right? When you build our product, we are so close to it, and we will say what is truth is always what is truth. But we want to believe what I believe is truth is what we think as a startup founder. So we are so closely attached to our products. And so that is the mindset that you have to come out when you really want to scale. Is the truth is the truth. What I believe may not be the truth, right? So that is where this bigger ecosystem tapping into that really helps. It's all start with the drive. It starts with that idea, and there's a law of attraction, right? Once you want it, and you go relentlessly behind that, and I see that the universe will conspire and it will make it happen for you. And lastly, I want to thank the organizers for this event again, putting this together. It's an amazing event. I see a lot of great energy here. Thank you so much. With that, back to the host.